on this hallowed ground, in the backdrop of this great city, people can be pretty passionate about their team. From Brooklyn to New Haven, down to the Jersey Shore, it's more of a way of life. But let's be honest, this isn't something new. Here, they want you to be bold. They want you to be fearless.
He's got 4 men on his back. Dives for the pylon. Touchdown, Giants.
They want you to be relentless. So in other words, you better bring your A game. That desire for you to be great
And Gano connects from 57.
calls for you to be smart,
Short of the first down. He's wrapped up.
to be tough, to be dependable.
Hit by Thibodeau and sacked.
Because here, loyalty runs deep.
We welcome you to MetLife Stadium. Some of the celebrities who are here tonight.
And if you rise to the challenge,
Touchdown, Giants.
you will be legendary.
What a play by the Giants.
You will be giants.
Yes, we are here. The Executives View. It is the 2025 New York Football Giants prediction show. I am the villain himself, Barry, here on another season. I get to do this. We get to do shows all week long talking, all sports. We talk WWE, we do a lot of different stuff, but it's a lot of fun when we get to just settle in and talk about our favorite teams. And I got one of the best teams in the world, the New York Football Giants, the 4-time Super Bowl champion New York Giants. But I'm not doing this alone. I got a slew of people coming in. I got people here with me today. I'm going to bring them in. You all know, friend of the program, Anthony. Anthony, what's going on, my brother?
How are you, Devillin? Good to see you,
I
man.
am doing great. I am awesome. It is good to see you. Always a pleasure. I got another Giants fan, one of my oldest friends, lifelong friend, in the trenches together, play football with him and other sports. My man DH, David's in the building. Dave, what's going on, brother?
What's up? Good evening, everybody. Excited for football season as everybody is, I'm sure.
Yep.
Absolutely. Dave is a season ticket holder. He's been holding it down for years. One of my oldest friends, like I said.
Since I was 9 years old.
9 years old. That's how you should be raised, people. You should be raised.
you know what? It was funny when we started. Not to cut you off your intros, but when we started, it was kind of different. It was like football wasn't like an everybody thing. I feel like it was like it was smaller groups of people that were like obsessed with football on Sunday, and then at some point it evolved and it just became something that like everybody was doing on Sunday.
It's religion. It's like basically you have to send a note to your significant other if they're not a fan. You're not going to be able to reach me during the hours of 1 to 7, maybe night games, Mondays, Thursdays, sometimes Saturdays in December. Don't find me. I'm not around. On Thursdays too, definitely Thanksgiving. So it's great. And obviously I love having this special guest with us. She is one of the best people out there, one of the most hottest podcasters out there, host of her own show now called Empire State Sports Report, New York Giants fan girl. I always mess this up every time I bring you on, but I got to do this right. I got to slow myself down. Adriana Arafola, it's always a pleasure to have you here. It's good to see you. How you doing?
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited. As we were just saying before this, I'm excited, but I'm starting to get a little bit nervous that I just don't want to be embarrassed by the Giants. That's it. I want to be proud to support them. And, the last couple of years it's been tough, but I'm optimistic that they're going to have a good week one.
Absolutely. I mean, it's crazy because we had this show last year. I think the three of us did it. Dave wasn't able to join us. I was begging him to do it, but he couldn't do it. But I got him this year. We were a little bit cautiously optimistic. We were all hurting about Saquon not being a Giant and everything that transpired. And then the season, it was our 100th season of New York Giants football. We're going into 101 years of New York Giants football, from the hollow Polo Grounds now to MetLife Stadium. We were cautiously optimistic. The Giants just did not have a great season. Ended the season 3-14. Didn't qualify for anything other than the draft. It was a tough year. A lot of rumors who was going to be here, who wasn't going to be. Daniel Jones was released halfway through the season. I don't know if that was mercifully for him, mercifully for Giants fans, that we just had a clean. It was a crazy season, and it just fell flat. It was just an awful start to the season, and just spiraled from there. The season before we were 6-11. After that, before that, we were in the playoffs. We had a lot of hopes, and it just came crashing down. So, I mean, I'll start just getting everybody's gut reaction. We want to just put a bow on last season and move on to this season. So, I'll start with Adriana. Ladies first, always. Last year was a tough season. And I know you were at some of the games, Dave. You were at some of the games too. Just really quickly, last year, let's put a bow on it. How'd you feel about it?
Just devastated. I was going into last year optimistic. I felt like I had high hopes. Obviously, there were concerns around Daniel Jones, but I felt like with the additions of Runyon and GVR and Illuminor, that the offensive line was going to be good enough, and all he needed was the offensive line to block, and then he'd finally feel like he can settle in and make some throws. And obviously, that's not what happened. It was amazing. Malik Neighbors have the season that he had. I think that was the bright spot out of last year, is that we had some rookies who played really well last year. And I think the biggest benefit going from last year into this year, aside from Abdul Carter and potentially having our franchise quarterback, is that we have building blocks of this team for the next few years between Malik Neighbors, Drew Phillips, Tyler Nubin, hopefully Marcus Bowe this year. Like, I think the drafts have gone well the last couple of years. So, I feel like even though last year was so bad and literally outside of Malik Neighbors, everything was awful, I feel like they're finally trending in the right direction. And that, I was so pissed when we beat the Colts. I wanted Cam Ward so badly. I was like, we're getting screwed over with Jaden Daniels and Drake May. Now it's going to be Cam Ward. But I ultimately feel like it actually worked out in a good way. And we've got Abdul Carter now, who I could not wait to get on this team. And I'm so excited about him. And, like I said, hopefully we're lucky and Jackson Dart is that guy. But I feel like, we're finally past the worst of it. I don't think it can get worse than last year. And I think we're finally going to be on the up and up. So, like I said, I'm optimistic.
I love having you on the show, because it was such a bad year, but I forgot the little things that were kind of good about last year. DH, we talked about it. Neighbors, obviously one of the best rookie campaigns that we've seen in a long time, since OBJ, probably, right? Tyrone Tracy was another guy that was a pleasant surprise. I mean, talk to me about last year. What you saw was a positive out of such a dreary season.
Oh man, well, last year was one of those seasons that I gotta be real. Like, it was like I was shrugging my shoulders going into it. Like, well, I feel like we're about to waste this poor young man's rookie season already. So not to segue you too soon, I just am so thankful and so happy. And look, I'm not trying to blame one person. I'm a football guy. It's a team game. It's a huge game. But man, am I happy that we don't have to go start a season with Daniel Jones at quarterback. Because to me, I've just kind of been down on that year after year, because I just didn't have that much faith in him I did in his first game, and then I just kind of was like, oh, just rough ride from there. So for me, last year, I didn't have anywhere near the optimism that I have this year. And I had probably the least amount of optimism that I had in maybe my life, maybe my whole life last year. going into the season, which is ironic, you guys, because for those, because I know this is a lot of Giants fans probably tuning in, and for those Giants fans that care, for a Giants season ticket holder gift, last year they went above and beyond, and the Giants gave us this amazing season ticket holder gift that I gave to my dad, because the reason why I have the season tickets is because of my dad. So they gave us they gave us replica Super Bowl rings of all 4 of the Super Bowls last year for the season ticket holders, right? For everybody who has a seat license. So it's like, so I just gave them right to my dad. I was like, I was like, in all the years that you had season tickets, you never got a gift this cool. I know you didn't. So here, take this, But that was, to me, that was the highlight of going into the season was the gift that we got. and then it like I said, I'm not trying to blame one person, but it's one of those things where it's like, I feel bad for Colts fans right now. It's like there's people that it's like, yeah, he should be good, he can throw, and like maybe he can like run fast sometimes, but he just can't really get it done. And like you realize that year after year, and it's like I have got this optimism this year. So yeah, I know I wasn't trying to totally change it to this year, but
Sure.
I just remember last year I just wasn't really excited about anything from jump, and then it just kind of continued.
It just got worse. Yeah. Anthony, talk to me about last year real quick, and then we'll jump into, because we don't want to beat a dead horse, right? We don't want to beat
bringing back the PTSD here. I went back and watched our show that we did last summer before the season started. And because I wanted to see what my prediction was on that show. And I had said that I didn't know whether they were going to win 3 games or whether they were going to win 9 games, right? I was so torn. It depended on the day, right? I had never gone into a season so confused about how to feel. I was optimistic and just dreading it all at the same time. And it turned out that the dread was what was true. And it was a reminder of how important the quarterback position is, right? Like you may have a really good team around the quarterback, and you can argue Joe Shane's drafts have gotten better through the years, and he's starting to build a nice young core. But without that quarterback who's smart between the ears and knows how to read the field and not stare down receivers and not make stupid mistakes, and be able to command the game, you're really going to only go as far as your quarterback's going to take you. And so, and I don't want to sit here and beat up on Daniel Jones. I wish him well in Indianapolis, but just a reminder of how little you can do when you don't have a quarterback. And we had none. We had the worst quarterback room in the league last year from 1 to 3. Now Shane and Dable finally have a room they can work with that they've chosen, that, they were kind of forced to re-sign Daniel Jones. Now they have a quarterback room that they've jumped in with both feet and said, these are the kinds of guys we want in that room. And that makes me super excited. But yeah, the Colts game, you mentioned it, Adriana. I have never been so angry after a win. Was that Colts game? I think I was texting you, Barry. I said, what are we freaking doing winning this freaking game right now? It makes no sense. What are we doing? And, I was saying these players don't care, because they don't. The players don't care about draft order. They want to go out there. They want to win a game. They want to look good. Maybe they're playing for their next contract. But we as fans were like, tank. Like, what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing anything but tanking right now. So
what was also like, where was this football team for the last 10 weeks?
Yes.
Why all of a sudden do you guys look like you know how to play football when we have not seen this since week 4?
Yeah.
It was
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's what was making me shake my head. I was just like, are you like, of course, like,
of all the games, right? And it was you can't get frustrated. I was frustrated. I was texting Anthony, and I remember watching your show too, Adriana, and I was just trying to reconcile in my head, because you guys bring up the point. The players want to play hard. They don't care about tanking, but like, God, what are we doing? Why aren't we trying to? But you know what? To your point, Adriana, I think it all worked out, and that's a perfect segue into the draft, because the first couple years, you can say Joe Shane had a 50-50 draft. And I think, you look at some picks, that he had that it didn't hit, and we've always said it. If you don't get it right on the first two picks of the draft, the first round and the second round, it can spell the doom for your whole regime. And I think this year, I think the blessing in disguise was not being the number one pick, even though we didn't get Cam Ward or, Shador fell, ridiculously hard. I think it forced them into a position to get the best player available that's going to make a really big impact on this team, not only this year, but for years to come, right? I mean, I look at the draft. I think Abdul Carter is a special player. Wearing my old football number, right, Dave? 51.
Yeah, I've said 5-1.
I'm happy
5-1
about
in the
that.
house. I got to get one of those 5-1 jerseys now.
Exactly. But I mean, trading back into the first round, getting Jackson Dart, I think one of the underrated picks, and I think Adrian, you mentioned it on one of your shows, Darius Alexander. I think is going to be a really good player for the Giants. Cam Scatteraboo, and company. I feel like the back half of the draft wasn't as strong as the front half, but I think they addressed some positions. Adrian, I'll start with you. Like, what did you think about this year's draft class and what Joe Schoen was able to pull off?
I'm really excited about it. Like I said, I was super disappointed about the fact that we were going to go from the first overall pick now to the third or fourth, and hindsight is 2020. Now I'm super happy we ended up with Abdul Carter. I think he is going to be a key piece of this team for the future. Him and Malik Neighbors are the future of this team. So I think Joe Schoen did a really nice job there. To me, it was the easy pick. Like, please don't screw it up. And look, I didn't love the Jackson Dart pick at the time, and I had a few different reasons for it. I think it's easier now, of course, to look back and say, I see why Dable liked him. He's Dable's exact type of quarterback for the most part of what he's looking for and all sorts of stuff like that. But, I think Dart did a really nice job during preseason, but I still think the best case scenario is that Russell Wilson plays well and we don't see Dart for a snap this year. I don't think there's any reason to rush him on the field. I don't think he should be quarterback 2. But I'm still optimistic about what he brings to this team and what I think he's capable of the future. I just think we don't need to rush it right now. But I will say, I think this is one of my favorite drafts from Joe Schoen, because when I was doing my own prep and I went to the Senior Bowl and I got to interview some of these guys, like, I loved every single pick that they made, from Marcus Bowe, Darius Alexander, Cam Scatteraboo, like every single one of those guys I loved. And the fact that I felt like we were able to get such value for them was really impressive to me for Joe Schoen. And, I saw all these reports afterwards that even Shane couldn't believe that someone like Marcus Bowe, who's supposed to be a second or third rounder, fell all the way to the fifth, and Scat was supposed to go earlier, and this and that. So I feel like they did a really great job. And, it's all well and good. I like the Evan Neal pick at the time too. I thought it was a great pick, and here we are. So on paper, I think it's great. I feel the same way about this football team. I think they're a good football team, but until they go out and prove it, it doesn't really mean anything. So I think Joe nailed this draft class. I liked pretty much everything that he did. But again, like I feel like with Jackson Dart, to me, Abdul Carter is the only one who has proven to me that I think it was worth that pick. Again, he's done nothing, but from what I've seen from him, I see the vision there. But the other guys, I'm like, still need a little bit of time, but I really feel like he did a much better job than I expected him to. So I'm excited about all of them. And Fedoni too, I think, at the time I was kind of like, I don't really know that much about this guy at this point, but had a great showing in preseason. Think he's got some potential. So I'm excited to see all these guys on the field.
Yeah, I think getting him in the 7th round is not a steal, but and it's not a reach. Like, that's why I was impressed with his draft. Like, he didn't overreach at his position, at his spot in the draft, and he addressed the areas of need. Like guard is definitely an area of need for us. I think Marcus Milbo is a good pick at that position. I watched a couple of Purdue games. So I was impressed with him. I do like the Darius Alexander pick. I think you need a tackle opposite Dex that can just hold up, and I think he can do that along with everybody else that's going to be on that line. But I'll leave it up to you guys. Anthony, I'll go to you. What did you think about the draft class this year and how Joe Schoen addressed the areas of needs on the Giants?
Yeah, it's hard not to get excited. And I feel like for the first time, there's a strategy that's starting to crystallize. You can start to see what Joe Shane is doing here. He's starting to build a young foundation, a young core of cornerstone players. You know, in his first few drafts, he drafted some good players, but you always asked yourself, are these core players? Is Wan'Dale Robinson the kind of guy you'd build your team around? Kayvon Thibodeau, Evan Neal. And we loved these picks at the time. Don't get me wrong. But are they your cornerstone type players that can really catapult your franchise? I feel like now, starting in 2024, definitely in 2025, you're starting to get that feel like you can envision Jackson Dart being the future franchise quarterback. You can envision Abdul Carter being the future franchise edge rusher. You could see Cam Scadaboo just plowing over people from the backfield. He's already talking about wanting to be like Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs and those guys. So great job by Scadaboo there doing his homework. You always love to hear players invoke the names of those guys. So, you feel like Joe Shane's getting better at this. You know, you can tell 2022, he was still wet behind the ears. You can tell. But every year that's passed since then, especially 2024 and now 2025, obviously they've got to prove it. But you feel a momentum. You feel that something is getting built here and the future is getting brighter because of the young core that Joe Shane is helping to put in place. So I feel good. And I watched Jackson Dart last year at Ole Miss. I watched some of his games and I thought to myself, gee, nobody's really talking about Jackson Dart. Everybody's talking about Cam Ward and Shador and where they're going to fall. But this Jackson Dart guy looks pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets drafted higher than people think. And lo and behold, the Giants brass felt the same way. They're seeing something in Dart. So yeah, how can you not be excited? I mean, it looked like that young core is starting to come into shape. Now they got to prove it. You got to do it, right? And if they don't, this is Joe Shane's legacy on the line right here. If this fails and you don't start to see these guys become really impactful, productive NFL players, he's out of here, as is the whole regime, as they should be. But you feel for the first time a real true confidence and not this apprehension about what's this like. You start to feel like these guys could make it. So
I agree. I mean, you got to get your guys in here, and I think the first couple of years there was a lot of holdovers from other regimes that guys I don't feel like they felt were going to be here long term, right? And I feel like I don't think there's many players that outside of maybe Dexter and a couple guys like that were here from older regimes, right? So it's their guys, it's their free agents or their draft picks. So Shane has pretty much reshaped this roster, kind of using his days from Buffalo, but it's his guys now, so it's all on him. I mean, DH, what do you think about the draft really quickly?
Oh, I mean, they killed it in this draft. I mean, for sure. At the same time, I'm not trying to be the negative person in this group, but Barry knows this. Barry knows this about me, and this is something that I've said forever. I'm the type of guy. I don't watch the draft. I'm not like so many people watch the draft. It's become this big, huge thing where everyone watched it. Everyone was obsessed with it. And I'm like, I like to know about it. I like to read about it. But to me, it's like I love the football. Like I couldn't get through Hard Knocks last year because it was about the business and not about the football. And and when it was about the business, it made me sick to my stomach because of what they were talking about and who they were talking to. And so now that exact person, as we talk about his draft, he did a good job. And it was a good job. But at the end of the day, I'm one of those people that have you seen draft after draft after draft. It's like you make your decisions about what you think is good or who you think is good. Because I also love college football, as I don't know if you guys do, but a lot of people that I know do. Like I know Barry does. So come
on, Florida State, baby.
Exactly, and you guys had a big win this weekend. But so I love watching and seeing who comes in and seeing all the hoopla about what's going on and between the transition and everything like that. So it's just for me to it's one of those things where you just gotta wait to see what happens. You know, like I know this is kind of a weak answer, but it's like yes, like Dart was the best statistical rookie quarterback in the preseason. Yes, Abdul Carter looked like a game changer on defense. Yes, and like yes, I hope that comes true as a Giants fan. But it's like, man, like someone brought up Evan Neal before, like we thought Evan Neal was going to be a lot better than he is right now, you know? So it's like there's a lot of things that can happen. So I don't
remember
really
Daniel Jones's first game. How excited we got after his first game.
Yeah.
I don't want to get my hopes up too much. You know, that's all I'm saying.
I mean, I hope I don't see Jackson Dart this year, and I think we've all said it in certain ways. Like best case scenario is he doesn't play, and I'm all for not rushing these guys, rushing these kids in, and I think teams, GMs, coaches, they get enamored with the rookie quarterback, the low salary cap number, and throwing him in to maximize the first 3 years of their contract, and I think it's a mistake to do that. I think Jackson Dart is a good quarterback, but you'd be a fool to say he was NFL ready. I think he needs time. He needs time to learn. I saw some good things from him in the preseason, and I saw some things like, hey, you know what? He needs to work on this, right? I think his footwork was pretty good. I think, his arm talent is there. I think, he made some reads that, a little shaky, but that'll come with time, and that comes from learning. And you're going to have two veterans in front of him that he can learn from. So, I like that, you know what I mean? And that just kind of goes into what the Giants did this offseason, addressing – you can only address so much with your draft picks. They had to go out there, and they had to be aggressive. They didn't have a lot of cap space. I think we talked about that at the end of the season. But what they were able to accomplish, throughout the offseason, bringing in, a guy like Javon Holland on a $45 million deal, but it's a nice, team friendly deal, but he's a significant upgrade at the position, right? At the safety position. I've been bringing him Paulson. I'm gonna crazily mess up his name, but I mean, Abo. I don't know. We're gonna do
Adebo.
Adebo. There you go. Thank you. I was waiting for Adriana to correct me because I know she's been saying all off season. So Adebo. I like him. It's a low risk, high reward kind of guy, right? But I think what we've seen in the preseason, like when that signing happened, it was like, oh, that might be sneaky good. And then when you see him in the preseason, oh, I think that's going to be really good. You know what I mean? So I think addressing that, bringing back Darius Slayton was a surprise to me. But I think, he's a guy that, when you settle him in at a number 2, if he doesn't drop the ball, I think he's an experienced wide receiver that can give you some production. Stone Forsythe on the offensive line, Aaron Steiny. There's some pieces that they brought in that I like. Obviously, the quarterback position is the big one that they had to address. We didn't think they were going to only be able to address it through the draft, and no bigger signing was bringing in Russell Wilson and bringing in Jameis Winston. So I'll start with you, DH. I'll go back around or wrap around the other way. Talk to me about the off-season additions, for the Giants. What do you like? What don't you like? How do you think we're going to end up this year with those additions?
Well, I'll pick up where you just were with Russ, because Russ won his Super Bowl in our building, as you guys know.
Yeah.
And which is so cool. And it's really just kind of like awesome the way the team is taken to him, and really everyone taking it, like even in his terrible, Broncos country, let's ride, like all that stuff. Like they still
sometimes though, it just drives me crazy.
He's still got along great with his team. He's still got along good with everyone. Like he's a guy that's gonna be well liked. He's like, and I respect it. I tell you, I know, quick little throwback with me and him is I remember when he was a rookie, when he was younger, and I was like, I don't know if this guy, when my old roommate who was a Patriots fan, and I lived with him when the Giants beat the Patriots the second time. That was awkward, let me tell you. But he, at one point we were just having a conversation about football, and I remember I was saying that, when in the old Seattle days, I was like, I didn't think that Russell was that great in his rookie year. And he was like, oh, this guy's the real deal. He's really good. And I remember having a conversation with this guy later being like, you were right. This guy is the real deal after he won a Super Bowl. Because I agree. I think he's really a good ball player. So, yeah, I think you're right, Bear. I think that was the key. I also love Jameis Winston. I love Jameis. His name starts with wins. He eats wins, as we know. He also had one of the greatest highlights of the whole season last year. No one can, in my opinion, no one can deny that. I'm a camera guy, right? So I shoot pro sports. That shot, the slow-mo shot in the snow of him scoring that touchdown at the end, or was that a 2-point? Was it the 2-point or the touchdown? Whatever, in the snow. Like, oh man, like that was such a beautiful this piece of photography, let alone the act of football, And then, which is awesome. And like I love stuff like that. Like the guy who actually just another side note for you guys before I let you go on this one. Speaking of a shot there that happened in the snow, you guys remember I think it was the NFC Championship in the snow game this past year when Saquon nodded at Jalen Hurts and was like, he did something like whatever he did, and then took the handoff and went house. Like was that NFC Championship, whatever it was right?
I think it was the championship.
The dude who shot that was a good buddy of mine, and like told me all about like the shot and everything, and like what he was talking about in comms about it and stuff, which was funny. I was like, so he's talking about that. I was like, yeah, that was your shot. He's like, yeah, that was my shot. So that was pretty cool. I thought you guys would like that.
Dave is one of the. He's not a camera. He's one of the best cameras, right? So
he does, thank you.
Yankee games. He does. You do Liberty games. You do all the sports. Everything. So it's awesome. Yeah,
I do Knicks. My favorite is Knicks. You know me. I'm a big Knicks guy.
I don't know how you do it because I wouldn't pay attention to anything but the game. Like do your job. Like oh yeah, okay, sure. But like that would just be me. But Anthony, talk to me about the offseason, man. Like, it was funny because, we were all afraid, at least I was, that the Giants were going to somehow end up with the Aaron Rodgers saga back and forth. And I'm glad that the Giants just said, no, I'm going to go with the guy that I want. I'm going to get Russell Wilson. I'm going to get Jameis and call it a day. I think we were texting back and forth. We were afraid. We were very afraid. We were worried. You had to talk us down. But talk to me about the offseason and how the Giants approach it.
Or Matthew Stafford, and then he gets hurt, and it's like, that's a bullet dodge too, maybe.
That was a big bullet to dodge. That's right.
Yeah. No, I mean, these guys, Russell and Jameis, they're the bridge, right? And they know it. And they're kind of on the back nines of their careers, both of them. But they still got something in the tank. And I think it's telling. Russell Wilson hasn't been here very long, and he was already voted by his teammates as one of the 5 captains. I think that's a very telling thing about Russell Wilson, his leadership, what people think of him in that locker room. I love that Malik Neighbors, his locker is right next to Russell Wilson's, and he's just been attached to his hip since March, right? Just learning from him, trying to establish that chemistry, which we're going to need starting Sunday, right? We're going to need that in a big way. In order for Malik Neighbors to really avoid that sophomore slump, he needs Russell Wilson to play a big part in that, right? So these guys are the bridge. They know it. They're comfortable in that role. And that's why I think it's such a great marriage, right? Because you have a team in the Giants who were so desperate to bolster that quarterback room. You knew you weren't going to do it. You didn't want to break the bank to do it. You didn't want to have to pay Matthew Stafford what he wanted or deal with all the drama, like you said, that comes with Aaron Rodgers. So you have guys like Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston who are just eager to get in there and, turn something around, right? This was a ship that needs to be turned around. And I think both those guys really relish this opportunity to do that. And so, and great point, DH. I mean, Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl in this building. There's a nostalgia there for him. You heard Russell Wilson say it the other day. It's not even a job. I don't even feel like I'm coming to work when I come into this building. It's just such a joy for him. And I believe
I heard he took the same locker too. I heard he took the same exact locker that he had.
Yes, I heard that too.
He won the Super Bowl in, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, like I said before, we had the worst quarterback room in the league last year. John Mara said it in the end of season press conference. Mm-hmm. What's the number one priority that we have to address this offseason? We've got to find our next franchise quarterback. I think they might have done that and built a nice bridge to that franchise quarterback. We all remember how Eli Manning was under Kurt Warner's wing for half a season.
That's right.
That's important. You don't want to just throw a rookie to the wolves right away. You want to have guys like Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston mentoring him for a little while. And let's hope it is a while. Let's hope they don't have to rush to go to Dart to try to salvage some good feelings this season because Wilson's performing so badly. But I love it. And I love the energy that Winston brings. You could already see like the vibes are incredible around him. The team just has so much fun around him. He's so easygoing. He's so likable. So I think from that standpoint, the quarterback is what they needed to address. I think they did a fantastic job addressing that. And considering, like you said, not a lot of cap room, they're still feeling a lot of big dead cap hits, which limits what Shane could do. I think considering all of that, he had a tremendous offseason and did exactly what the Giants needed after coming off a 3-14 year. So
yeah, the new faces are coming in, and honestly, like I said, Holland is going to be a really good pickup. For them in helping that secondary. It's not to be said that the kids especially at the corner position struggled a lot last year. Our number one pick, I don't know. It's hard to explain how much, he took a step back from his first year, and talking about Deonte Banks, how much he took a step back. But, so you need a veteran like that. I think Newman was a great, signing, but you need a veteran behind him like Holland. And then you need, some other guys that can come in, step in, and really just not have Banks be that number one guy against the number one receiver week in and week out. Now you have somebody else like Paulson that can really come in and do that. So Adriana, talk to me about the I don't know if silent but deadly off season, how they address the areas of needs this year.
I think they did a great job filling some holes that needed to be filled. We talked about the secondary signings, which were really important. Obviously, Abdul Carter is going to be a huge addition. The quarterback room was a necessity. They signed Jameis to a 2-year deal. So we know that at least next year we've got Jameis and Jackson Dart, which is huge to know that we've got a good veteran on a pretty cheap deal. And we've got, who is likely to be the starter in Jackson Dart. I think next year I'd like to see them go after a wide receiver and a corner. I think those are two positions that they're going to have to fill out in the draft. But I like the addition of Scat. I think the running back room is in a good place. I think, the wide receiver room could use a little bit of an upgrade, but I like the re-signing of Darius Slayton. I think that he's a decent number 2. His drops have definitely gotten better over the last few years, and he knows the system in and out. So he's always professional. I think that he's going to be great with Russell Wilson and his moon ball. I think we're going to see that a lot this year, and Darius is going to benefit from that. And I like the tight end room too. I'm really excited about Theo Johnson. I think he's going to be a good sleeper for fantasy. I think he's going to come on and have a pretty good year this year. So I just think overall, with the amount of money that they had, I feel like they made some really good additions. There's still question marks on the draft players and what they're going to look like and how these free agents are going to fit in. But, on paper, I think this is a good football team. They just have to go out there and prove it. And, if we're looking forward to next year's draft, there's a couple positions that I'd like them to focus on. But if Marcus Bowe works out, if Darius Alexander works out, if Cordell Flott ends up being good this year, we can definitely have some question marks answered and have some more depth at a lot of positions that I think are still a little question marky as of right now.
Yeah, I thought Flott got better as the season progressed last year, and I think he's had a really good camp. I think you said it too. He had a good camp, a couple good games. So I'm very curious to see how he progresses this season. But like I said, bringing in Paulson and these guys helps them settle back in to a second and third and fourth corner instead of Flat having to be that nickel guy, or Banks having to be that lead corner, right, against the best receivers. So I think it all helps. But offensively, I agree with you. I think our tight end room is quietly really good. Theo Johnson is, I thought showed some flashes last year. This year, hopefully he's healthy, and I think he's going to have a really good season. Bellinger, Manhurts, the rookie. I like the tight end room. I agree with you. The receiver room probably needs to get filled out. But I think one guy that's going to benefit from that moon ball is Jalen Hyatt, right? I honestly feel like he can get downfield. He'll get the looks because the offensive line is a little bit better too. But let's talk about the offense since we're talking about it, Adriana. Obviously we got Russell that's going to be the starting quarterback. Tyrone Tracy, who I thought had a really good rookie year. One of those draft picks that you didn't know what you were going to get out of him. Once he got on the field, he had a 100-yard game, and he was off to the races. And he's a tough physical back, complements Singletary very well. Cam Scatteraboo, I think he's going to be a really not underrated, but I think he's going to be a really big help to this offense. But I think one of the things is, is Thomas healthy this year? I think he's on schedule, but even without him in the lineup in the preseason, I liked what I saw from the offensive line. Runyon, Michael Smith looked really good. Van Roten, even Evan Neal, I got to give him credit. Finally, the Giants got forced to put him at right guard, and he looks like a right guard. He everybody was saying, oh, he missed a block. No. It's so much different. I was a guard in high school, and Dave knows this. My senior year, I had to play tackle, and it's such a difference being on an island as opposed to being in a phone booth. And Evan Neal in a phone booth, you ain't getting around. He's a big physical guy. So I think putting him at the guard position, even though teams are calling the Giants and saying, hey, how much for Evan Neal? I'm going to put him at guard. And they're like, well, I think I can keep him and put him at guard, hang up the phone and put him at guard. And he's looking pretty good in his 2 preseason games against the Patriots and the Jets. So, Adriana, talk to me about this offense. Like, it's different from last year. Leak, obviously, he was here last year, but now you know what you got from this guy. You got competent quarterbacks, offensive line play. What do you think this offense is going to do this year?
I still have a little bit of concern about the offense, mostly just because Andrew Thomas, we're not 100% sure is going to be ready for week 1. Although I think if he's ready and plays week 2, hopefully, as long as he's healthy, this offense will function. So to me, that's the biggest piece is Andrew Thomas needs to be out there, or we don't know what this offense is going to look like. Right. I think the Russell to Malik connection is going to be evident off the back. I think Malik has the opportunity to go for well over 1,200 yards. I think he could get 1,500 yards receiving this year. He's going to be the number 1 target. There's no questions about that. I do think that Russ is going to try to spread the ball around. I think we're going to see a lot of Theo Johnson this year. I think we're going to see more Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson, but ultimately Malik Neighbors is the best player on this team, and you have to get the ball in his hands. So I think that the biggest difference we'll see this year is that Leak is probably going to be the first read every single time. That's what it should be. But I really just hope that the offensive line is going to be able to block for the run game, because we need to be able to have explosive plays in the run and in the pass. We have to be able to run the ball successfully. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this offensive line can do. Like I said, when Andrew Thomas is on the field, we're in good shape. I have full confidence that they're going to be able to move the ball down the field and score points if he's out there. I think, the offensive line was fine last year, and they don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be the best offensive line in the league. They just have to be average, and this offense will be fine. So that's the biggest thing that I want to see out of them. I know there's a lot of concerns about Russell Wilson, but we have seen a lot of horrible quarterback play over the last few years that no one is going to convince me that Russell Wilson is going to be worse than that. I think he's going to be fine. And if he can drop a moon ball to Darius Lee and Jalen Hyatt or Malik Neighbors once a game, that's fine by me, because at least I know that Malik Neighbors and Darius Lee have a really good chance of catching it. Jalen Hyatt, on the other hand, I'm not so sure. But I just think that this offense is going to be functional. I think we're going to see explosive plays. And, last year they were averaging like 10 points a game. Like, it should not be that hard to score points this year. Unacceptable. Like, I don't want to hear any complaints. I don't care. So they have to put points up and they have to score multiple touchdowns. And I think that they're capable of doing it. So, I'm looking looking forward to see what they're able to do. Just need Andrew Thomas on that field, and we are good.
Yeah, we need him healthy. He is easily the best offensive lineman on the team, one of the best in the league, to be honest with you. So having him on the field is vital to the Giants' success. But I agree with you. Jalen Hyatt can't catch a cold sometimes, so hopefully he can catch something other than to catch these feelings when you ain't getting the ball or ain't getting snaps. I think what the pressure is on Mike Kafka. You gotta come in and you gotta figure out a way to get your best player the ball, because everybody knows that Justin Jefferson is going to get the ball. Everybody knows Jamar Chase is going to get the ball, and they still get the ball. So you need to figure out, don't let it go into the third quarter and Leak only has a couple targets and one catch. That's unacceptable. Figure out a way to get the ball into the best player's hand. Every OC does it. Every team does it. And Mike has to figure out how to do it. I mean, DH, talk to me about the offense this year for the Giants with their key additions and all that good stuff. How do you think we're going to do this year?
No, honestly, just to kind of piggyback on what you just said, I can kind of completely agree with what you said. Now the pressure's on coaching, and because now you got, so Tracy had a good year last year, and you got hopefully a quarterback that can get your star player Leak the ball. So it's like now you got the high low. You got the double attack when you're at a boxing reference. So it's like so like this is what you're waiting for. Like so now you better make the right calls. You know what I mean? Like you better make sure you get the ball in the right places. And it's like it's kind of like I kind of agree with what you were saying, Bear, where it's like now it's a point where it's like, all right, like finally, after a lot of criticism and skepticism from me especially, Shane did his job and kind of gave a few pieces. Like I think like the running game now, you got a little something behind Tracy now this year, like to help him. Like you got some stuff going on like that can lead to a multi-dimensional attack, and that's but that's I think it's all the NFL more than anything is all depending on coaching, and I think that's very key. So I don't like you guys kind of all said it all. Adrian had so many good points about the players, and I think what your point about the coaching is exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Mike Kafka was maligned for 10 points a game. Adriana, that's unacceptable, man. Like, we scored more in high school. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be in the NFL and struggle to get points, and your best offensive player is your kicker. Is Graham Gazelle. That's unacceptable. That's Anthony. What do we got to do this year for the offense to improve on last year?
Dable and Kafka never wanted to admit it when Daniel Jones was here. And again, I don't mean to spit on this man's grave. He's not here anymore. But they had to tailor the offense around a quarterback who they knew but would never publicly admit was very limited, whose reads were very slow, who would stare down receivers, who didn't see what was going on. How many times did we see Malik Neighbors wide open waiting for the ball? And Daniel Jones didn't even see him. And not just Neighbors, but a lot of other, Wandale, Slayton. I mean, just wide open reads and Jones just not seeing it, not going through his progressions. I think a big reason, too, around that was because he felt the pressure. Even when there wasn't pressure, even if it was just imaginary pressure, that was enough to throw him off his game. Yeah. And he'd hold the ball and he'd look to run with it. He'd look to escape instead of hanging in there, going through his reads quickly enough and making plays. Now they finally have some quarterbacks in that room who are going to process things much faster than Daniel Jones ever did. If they get the kind of protection that the offensive line showed they could provide in the preseason, if they could carry that over, I know they were going against some second and third stringers. That Bills game, the first preseason game, the Bills kept their starters in for most of that first half. Mm-hmm. And, we did a number on their starters. We played pretty well. The offensive line played really well against a couple all-pro defensive linemen on Buffalo. So they could carry that over. That's going to be key. And having a quarterback who can go through his reads, his progressions quickly, make quick decisions. That's what impresses me most about Jackson Dart right now, is how quickly his mind works. If you get a quarterback whose mind is going to work a lot faster, combined with much better protection, because it all starts in the trenches, they're going to score some points. They're going to be able to move the ball. They're going to get some things done just by virtue of the fact that they have a quarterback who could see what's going on, react quickly, have somewhat of a pocket to work with. And I think those things combined are going to help the offense a great deal. You just got to avoid the penalties and the drops, like that Slayton and Hyatt are known for, and get contributions from everybody. But it starts there, and if you get that good quarterback play and that good offensive line play, which I think the potential is there for, you're going to see a much different offense, much better offense.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to have a competent offense that can move down the field. I thought the Jets game, I was really impressed with that offense. They played against that team. I think, Adrian, you were there in practice. They looked good against the Jets in practice, in the squad scrimmages, and then carrying that over into the game, they just played really well. So, I don't expect this team to be, a high-powered offense, but it's going to look high-powered compared to what we've been seeing for the last couple of years. So I'll take that. 17, 20 points a game. Woo! Popping champagne, popping bottles around here in New York, in the tri-state area. It'll be great. But I mean, obviously, New York Giants, we're about that D, man. That defense. The chant goes crazy for the defense. And this has the potential to be a really good defense. I think people have already said that the Giants might have one of the best, and they have preseason one of the highest rated defensive lines in the league when you're exporting the rookie and Abdul Carter, but you got sexy Dexy, Dexter Lawrence, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, and you got Spider-Man Brian Burns anchoring that defense. Adriana, I'll come right to you. I mean, this defense is going to be relentless. They're going to get after the quarterback. Talk to me about the defense. How excited are you?
Way too excited. Even from the little pieces that I saw during camp before we even got to the preseason of seeing Abdul Carter used all over the field, I think guys like Brian Burns and Kayvon are going to benefit so much from having him. Dexter Lawrence, we upgraded the safety and the cornerback position. We've got Bobby O, who's healthy this year, even Micah McFadden, who's been getting better every single year. Like, I think there's fair to have some question marks there, but I think ultimately this defense should be pretty damn good. Like, they should be top 15 in the league, and the defensive line is going to be top 3, no questions asked. And I'm really excited about them. I mean, I think they're going to have well over 50 sacks, and the big thing for them is going to be health. And does Shane Bowen actually know how to create a defensive scheme based on the talent of his players? That, I think, is probably the biggest question mark coming into this, because of what he did last year and how so many players that they drafted were so much better in Wink's scheme. Deonte Banks is a perfect example of it. Even Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence, I think, will succeed anywhere, but you look at some of these guys, and Kayvon Thibodeau, their best years were under Wink. So I need Bowen to figure it out, and he has to figure it out fast. And look, I think last year he had some issues there because of the talent and because they couldn't stop the run and do whatever. But I think this year there's no excuses for that. We don't need to be the best team against the run. We just have to be able to get to the quarterback and to slow down the run. And, we need Deonte Banks not to give up touchdowns left and right, which I don't think he's going to do, knowing that we have a Debo. So I'm really optimistic on this defense. I think if you look on both sides of the ball, it's not even comparable. The defense is probably going to be light years better than the offense, which is fine. We need the offense to be functional and score a couple touchdowns. But I think if the defense can really do their job and pull their weight and keep teams to 20 points or less, there's no excuse for us not to win more games than we should.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't underestimate how important that signing of Adebo was. Bringing him in. He had a couple injuries, but if he can be that cornerback one, it just helps everybody else, right? Like I've said. But to your point, that the defensive line, pick your poison. You're going to have guys there that good luck trying to single. You cannot single Dexter Lawrence. You have to double him at all times. So that just leaves guys like Burns and Kayvon and Abdul Carter one-on-one, win your matchup one-on-one, and this defense is off to the races. And the very underrated point, I love the fact that you brought this up, Adriana. Micah McFadden is like the tackle machine. And I felt like as the season got going, he got better and better. And now he's just that linebacker core was always an issue for the last couple years. Bobby O and McFadden back there are gonna really be like tackling machines, have single coverage, and you just got to make your tackles, right? Like that's all it is. Just do your job when at your position, and everything's going to take care of itself. Anthony, talk to me about this defense. I mean, I haven't been this excited about the Giants defense in a while.
I think this is where Joe Schoen is really nailing it. He understands that this is the Giants' identity. This is who we are. When we've won Super Bowls, it's been in the trenches. It's been on the defensive front. It's been being able to rush four guys, being able to get to the quarterback without having to blitz, just being able to send four. You said Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence, he could beat the double team. They throw double teams at him, and he beats those. It's incredible. So I am just so super stoked to see what this defensive line is going to do. I was a little worried about Abdul Carter not having enough power, maybe relying a little bit too much on speed. But then and there were the Micah Parsons comparisons, of course.
Yeah.
He's about 15 pounds heavier than Micah Parsons is. So Micah Parsons really exclusively relies on speed because he's not a really bulky guy. Carter is bulkier, though. So Carter has the speed of Parsons, and he's a little bulkier than Parsons. He's going to need that. He's going to be able to bull rush guys a little bit better than Parsons can. Now, I'm not saying that as we sit here today that Abdul Carter is better than Micah Parsons. We can't possibly say that yet. But there's potential there. He's got the tools of Micah Parsons and then some, where there is that potential. You could see maybe a situation where he does get to that level at some point because he's got the speed and the power. And not just the speed that like Micah Parsons has. Super excited. I think it could unlock Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, let's put it this way. It better unlock Kayvon Thibodeau because he, the guy's drafted 7th overall. He is, or 5th overall. He's Joe Schoen's very first draft pick. Yeah. Joe Schoen needs him to get unlocked and to prove that he was worthy of that pick. It definitely starts in the trenches with this defense. That's where they're at their strongest. As you move out towards the corners, I know they bulked up the cornerbacks and safeties this offseason, but obviously that's where they get a little bit weaker, right, as they move out, away from that defensive line. And another thing I'm going to be looking for, it's been our Achilles for years. Can we stop tight ends? We never stop tight ends. And I'm so sick of it. Now, I don't think there's as many. We're going to be facing Travis Kelce in week 3. I could see him going off potentially, just because we have trouble with tight ends. So I'm looking closely at that too, to see if we can finally figure that out because I'm just so sick of getting just diced up by these tight ends all the time. And Deonte Banks, I don't know what to think. He's got to turn around, man. Turn around and look for the ball. Stop staring down the receiver and be able to look at the receiver and the ball at the same time. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. He's feeling like a bust to me, but I hope I'm wrong about him. But if he can turn it around, man, that's going to just add a whole new layer to this defense. So.
Yeah, he's got to turn it around. He's got to play better, and hopefully having him as a number 2 cornerback, it helps. But you're right about Kayvon. I don't like to dump on him. I think he is a talented player, but you got to look at that 2022 draft and who was picked in that draft ahead of him, right? You're not talking about guys that are slouches. Trayvon Walker is a good football player. Aiden Hutchinson's a good impact football player. Those are DNs that were drafted ahead of him, right? So, it's time, man. It's time. Put it together. You know what I mean? Like, he's shown flashes. I always see that highlight when I'm scrolling through Instagram of him against the Commanders, the strip sack and the touchdown, right? Like, do that all the time. I wish he played against the Commanders all the time because when he plays against the Commanders,
he shows up. Yeah.
He shows up every game. So we're going to need that week 1. Let's do it. But, he's got to put up. So, DH, talk to me real quick about the defense. I mean, there's so much optimism in New York that we talked about with this defensive line. Could be one of the best in the league. The linebacker core is solid. I think the secondary's upgraded. I mean, I don't see a lot of holes. What do you think?
Yeah, you guys said it, man. Honestly, I think the defense being and finally filling the spots where they can't be exploited by doubles. I think you guys all said it. Like it was kind of like, oh, double team Lawrence, and it was like, oh, because Thibodeau's not going to kill you, type of
Right.
stuff like that. And like a lot of coaches had us figured out. So hopefully Carter's the guy that gets you to the point where it's like, oh, well, now we got to double team him. So now we're getting oh, now we got to double team both these guys. Like, how are we supposed to do this? And that's what you want. Like that's so like it's so and I hate to be like because it's like so safe and be like, oh, yeah, so we'll see what happens. But so I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna go to the next level because you guys kind of broke down the defense and I have a lot of stuff to agree with what you said. I think we're gonna beat the Commanders week 1. I think we're gonna win. I think we're gonna win because I think our defense is gonna play well. I think that the Commanders are gonna have a tough year in general because of exactly what we're talking about, because of how good coaching is in the NFL. I think it's the most coaching important sport anywhere. Like in any sport, no other sport is coaching as important as it is in football. Not even close. Like in baseball, what is coaching in baseball? Like no, they're either pitching or they're hitting. Like coaching don't mean nothing. Like a hockey. I mean, come on, they're either saving it or they're scoring a goal. Like a basketball, you're. It's like coaching is it's present, but it's nowhere near. And I think the Commanders are going to have. I think they're going to get figured out by a lot of really good NFL coaches this year. After last year having a lot of success, I think Daniels is going to get figured out by a lot of coaches this year, like a lot of people do. Who aren't the great. I mean, we'll see. Like I said, as I like to say, we'll see. Maybe he is one of the all-time greats, like he was in his first year. And maybe he will overcome, but he might be like most people that don't powerhouse the league in their second year after having a great first year, So we'll see what happens. But I think we're gonna win. And also because you brought up Kelsey taking us, and yes, we haven't played tight ends well, but I think we're gonna win that first game at home. I think we're gonna beat the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are also gonna fall off this year. I know we're not, we're kind of deviating from the Giants right now. But I think that the Giants are going to win that game because it's going to be the first home game of a new team that's coming in that's going to try to establish themselves at home. I think we'll already at least have one win under our belt by then. Who knows? Maybe we'll be 3-0 after week 3 at home. Like we'll see.
He's sipping the Kool-Aid.
Into existence.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm wishful thinking to start, but that's why I said I know we're talking Giants here. I know you're asking me about the Giants.
Yeah.
But I'm being real with you and saying I think that we win 2 of those games more because of who we're playing. And I know people are like, oh, you think we're just gonna beat the Chiefs and the Commanders like that? But it's like I honestly think the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs, like, hot take indeed. I think the Chiefs are on their way down. I think they are. I just think they are.
We say that every year.
Yeah, but I think the Chiefs really did kind of squeak by last year, and I think that their time is kind of dwindling. You know what I mean? Like Mahomes can only just make magic by himself for so long. Kelsey is not the same player. Like, let's be real. So
he's got a wedding to plan. That's his problem.
Yeah. So it's like, and they don't really have anybody else. Like, look at last year, man. They didn't really have anybody else but him. Like catching the ball. So it's like, I don't really know, if they're gonna keep powerhousing. But who knows? I mean, they do have a great coach. We'll see. But I just think that coaches are gonna figure out the Commanders this year. But and so it's more about that. Like, it's more like I just want to talk about, because actually I just realized too my daughter's still up, so I probably have to go because I gotta get her to bed at school. But yeah, and so I wanted to weigh in and say, well, next time we talk, hopefully on one of your shows, we'll be like, yo, you called it. The Giants beat the Commanders and they beat the Chiefs. Let's hope.
Go take care of your dog, Dave. Thank you so much for coming. I'll talk to you.
Yeah, sorry to be early, guys, but yeah, I wanted to get that in before I got out of here.
But no, listen, we played the Commanders tough last year, and I think we can get that win. We play them pretty well. Jalen Daniels is a really good quarterback, but the league will figure him out. It's all a law of averages, right? So, I mean, honestly, 2025 season, man, the schedule is tough. All right, we got the Commanders on the road in Washington. We got to go into Dallas. Then we come home, play the Chiefs, the Chargers. They got the Saints, then the Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, 49ers, and then the Bears. Like, it's a tough schedule. Yeah. It's one of the toughest ones in the league. While there's a lot of optimism about the Giants having more talent than they've had in a little while, the schedule is not doing us any favors, Adriana. So, I mean, you can go a lot of different ways with the win total. We could say win here, loss here, win here, loss here. But, like, honest gut feeling, what are you thinking for the Giants, Adriana, for this year? What's the record going to be? Where do we finish?
I think they're going to end up either 8-9 or 9-8. I think if everyone is healthy or most people are healthy, the team is capable of winning 9 games. If they had an easier schedule, I would say something else, but I also think that the schedule only matters to people outside the building. People in the building don't care how hard it is. It means nothing to them. So, but I just got burned by them last year, and I just don't believe it until I see it. So I'm going to go with 8-9.
Yeah. Anthony, talk to me. What do you think about the Giants this season? What's the prediction?
Yeah, I wish I was as optimistic as Adriana and DH. I'm going to go with 6-11, which I'll be happy with.
You're so negative. Such a negative.
I am. Ask Barry. I'm the most negative.
That's the win over.
When we're texting on Sundays, you probably have to mute me because I'm so negative. I can't. I wouldn't be able to stand me if I were you.
Anthony, that's the over. I think our over's at 5.5. So you're taking the overs.
I'm taking the over. Okay, yeah. So there you go. I'm being positive.
DH, Dave, you should see this guy during the Knicks playoff run this year. Oh. I have never had a ebb and flow of emotions.
Oh my god!
It's just like, dude, relax, we're fine. And then he's like, "We're back, baby, we're back." Like, it's hilarious. But no, I listen. 6-11. It's better than last year's double our win total from last year, so I can't be mad at that. Dave, what do you think? What do you think this year? What's the win total going to be?
So not that I know you don't talk about bets on your shows.
Yeah.
I had to throw a few bets down. Of course, I just like to throw a few bets down before
you do the futures,
little futures, And I did I basically did one of each. And this is crazy, I know, but I did the Giants to make the playoffs. And I did Giants to hit the win over, just like Anthony did, right? So it's like but to be real with you, I think the win over, I think we could hit. I think we could hit 6 wins like that. I think we could do the playoffs. I mean, then we'd have to do at least what Adriana said. I would think, we'd have to have at least 9 wins, right? So to me, it's like, man, I hope we get there. That would be nice, because if we do what I predicted and if we beat the Commanders and the Chiefs, then it's a good start. But it's like I said, we're talking about the strength of schedule. Everyone wants to talk about how hard the schedule is, but it's like every year you tend to be able to know who's going to be good and not. But then all of a sudden there's those years where stuff changes. You never know when that year comes where something rotates. You know what I mean? Like some division kind of spins on itself a little bit. And maybe, who knows? Maybe this is that year. Maybe this is the year that all of a sudden Dallas is kind of all of a sudden really good again. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Who knows?
Honestly, I think we'll get over the 5.5. I think we'll be at least, over that. I think a week or two ago, I was probably around 7-8 wins. I think I'm going to lean towards the 8-9 range. I'm probably going to lean towards 9 because I think we can sneak one against the Cowboys finally. Can we beat the Cowboys, please? I'm tired of losing to those guys. I hate the Eagles. I hate the Commanders, but I'm tired of losing to the Cowboys. I'm tired of Dak Prescott getting one over on us. So can we get that win, please? Yeah. So I think they're going to take a little bit of a step back. I think there's winnable games. The 49ers, they're not the world beaters that they used to be. I think they're going to be a solid team. I think we can get that game. I think we can beat the Bears. I think we can clip the Commanders once. We might be able to clip the Eagles once. You know what I mean? I want to beat them too. I hate the Eagles. I just hate everything about the Eagles. I really do. It makes me sick. But there's some tough games, right, against the AFC West. But I think there's a game in there too that we can win. So 9 wins is not out of the realm. I'm gonna stick to 8-9 wins. So I'm just looking for an optimistic year, a year better than last year. I think there's a little bit of buzz, a little bit of excitement in MetLife in East Rutherford, and I think we're going to have a better year than last year, and that's all I can ask for. Just don't depress me by week 2. I don't want to be in October and be a depressed Giants fan. I can't do that. Last year was awful. Dave knows not only am I a Giant fan, I'm a Florida State fan. It was miserable on Sundays and Saturdays in my house. Nobody wanted to talk to me. No one wanted to be around me. It was miserable. It was miserable being around me. I had UConn, but that was it. It was bad. So, I just want something confident. So
and one soda. That was it. That was all we had.
That's all I had. Until the Knicks started. I'd never been so excited for basketball early in the season in my life. So, I mean, listen, it's going to be fun. I'm excited for this year. I have one question, and I'm going to get everybody out of here. The Giants will have a successful season if, right? So you can just finish that sentence however you want to finish it, Dave. One sentence. The Giants will have a successful season if.
If Abdul Carter is the difference maker.
Okay. Anthony, the Giants will have a successful season if.
If we finally have good quarterback play.
Very good, very good. Adriana, the Giants will have a successful season if.
Andrew Thomas stays healthy.
I love that one too. I'm going to say the Giants will have a successful season if the defense is a top 5 defense. That's my key. The defense will carry it. The offense, I don't know. We've all kind of lamented, but if that defense is top 5 in the league, the Giants will have a successful season. I'm excited for it. I can't wait. I haven't been this excited in a long time. Thank you everybody for coming in. Adriana, give us a plug. I love what you do on your socials, on your podcast. You're doing great stuff. You're on Fox. I think it was last week. I caught that. You're doing great things. We're so proud of you. We're so happy that you're a friend of the program. Give us a quick plug and thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me, and thank you so much for the kind words. So I am New York Giants fangirl on all social media platforms, just like my little handle here says. And then my podcast is called the Empire State Sports Report. Earlier this week, I had on Bram Weinstein, who is the voice of the Commanders, and he gave some good insight into the Commanders. We talked all about the matchup this week and who we ultimately think is going to win, and he gives some good stuff on the Commanders. So check that out. It's on YouTube and anywhere you can get podcasts. And I'm going to be at the game on Sunday. So if anyone is going to be there down in DC, let's have a drink together and celebrate and hope that the Giants walk out with a win.
That's right. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. Definitely listen to her podcast. She does a great job. And that podcast has just grown leaps and bounds from a simple hobby, a passion and love to where you are now. It's great. And you're nothing but great things ahead for you. So thank you so much for coming in. Dave, first time I got you in here. First time, brother. I'm so happy to have you. Give us a quick plug and get us out of here.
Oh, I'm just happy to be with you, brother. This was fun. And go G-Man.
That's right. And Notre Dame's going to bounce back. I promise you, dude.
Oh, yeah. Hey. It was a rough start,
I know. But thank you so much for coming in. Anthony, dude, I absolutely love when I got to get you on a little bit more regularly. I got to tell the missus to let you come out and play a little bit more. I love doing the show with you. You do a great job with me. Give us a plug. Give us a shout as we get out of here.
I appreciate you, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much for inviting me. I can't wait to come on these shows and feel heard and share perspectives with fans that are just as rabid about our love for the Giants. And Let's do a Knicks show soon. I can't wait. I'm getting my arguments ready for that too. I got a lot to say.
I know. I can't wait. We're gonna do it. Me, you, and Joe. Shout out to Joe T. We're gonna do that Knicks show. But I appreciate you coming through. Anytime I put the back signal up, you respond and you're right there. Like Commissioner Gordon, just on the rooftop talking to me. So I appreciate you coming through. I can always rely on you. Thank you so much, bro.
Thanks for the opportunity, man.
Absolutely. Listen, I had a lot of fun talking Giants with these guys. We'll be back at it. I think our next show will be next week, our next Tuesday, and our regular show, 9:00 Eastern Standard Time, and then Sirius. I think he's going to be on before that, if I'm not mistaken, doing his Steelers show with one of the bigger Steeler fans that he knows, his dad. So shout out to Papa Sirius and Sirius himself. They'll be doing their Steelers recap / preview show. We'll be doing the WWE show next week on Wednesday. We have a lot of fun doing that with Stacy the Queen, with Coach Corey, AB, Sirius himself. So, we got shows. We got a lot of content. If you see the show, share the show, like us, follow us on our socials. We're doing a lot of great things, and this is going to be a lot of fun this season and beyond. Listen, the execs have a lot of things in store. We're excited about it, so we want to take you along for the journey. So with that being said, I bleed blue all the time. Go G-Men. Let's do it this year. Thanks, guys. See you later. Peace.